while we're on the subject of CNN failures. Tapper and Thompson out there pushing this book. They were on the program on Tuesday. And notwithstanding the fact that we gave Jake Tapper a very hard time for not being the right person to author this book, Alex Thompson is fine. He actually can author this book. He did not only try to cover some of the Biden decline, but did better than anyone in the so-called mainstream in trying to hold Kamala Harris's many flip-flops to account by going to her campaign over and over and saying, do you still stand by taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners? And she would blow him off. But Axios had an article from him virtually every day on that stuff. Okay, so he is continuing, and Jake is continuing the press tour. And he went to Alex Thompson on News Nation and spoke with our pal Leland Vittert on Tuesday. And this is so right on. This is so right on. Watch this clip in SOT 15.
When you were reporting this, did people in his inner circle, did those that you talked to acknowledge that the media, were they surprised by how complicit the media was?
It was interesting. I had one conversation with someone. This was after the election while we were reporting this book. This person said, listen, yes, we deserve blame for X, Y, Z. We were hiding him. This person also sort of got in my face and they said, listen, the media deserves some blame too. Like, we were sort of amazed at some of the stuff we were able to spin
and get away with
on. They in some ways,
it's like the bank robber complaining that the safe wasn't locked or something.
They're just like, you guys should not have believed us so easily. And I thought that was like a really interesting. But I also think that's true. I think the media, in a lot of ways, just was not skeptical enough and did not remember the lesson that they do it to different degrees, but every White House lies.
Pretty amazing. Even the Democrats in the White House were astonished at how compliant the media was in spreading their lies about Joe Biden.
I love seeing the media reactions to Tapper's book, which is, golly, can you believe now we're discovering? I mean, I guess this is actually the point of the book. We're discovering all these things. The White House told us that Biden was perfectly fine. I mean, I know we saw him drooling on himself in the Oval Office, but they told us, they promised us that we didn't actually see and to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, and these are not the droids you're looking for. So don't blame us. We're the intrepid fourth estate that has to speak truth to power. But we were told by the propagandists of the White House to stop looking, and we did. Don't blame them. Don't blame us. Hey, buddy, I thought your job, the whole reason we have to defend the wonderful, brilliant journalists is you're going to ask the questions. If all you're going to do is take the propaganda line from Democrat White House, hook, line, and sinker, why am I even going to tune into you? I'll just watch the White House. There's not going to be any difference in messaging.
That's exactly right. Just turn on C-SPAN. You can get some direct messages from Democrats without any media filter and make up your own mind. But they acted. They helped spread the lies and launder the lies. And now they're using this Tapper Thompson book to launder their own cover up into a, gee, we're just now learning about this from this book. This is horrifying information. Can't believe that this happened to us. These White House people are really terrible. Meanwhile, you've got, I am going to make you look at Nicolle Wallace because we had 2 sound bites from her today. Here she is. This is by somebody on X who goes by Maze Moore. This is her, the first one, under Trump, calling for polygraphs of his inner circle on his fitness for office versus under the Joe Biden regime when those so-called cheap fake videos showing actual Joe Biden freeze-ups came out. Watch.
John Kelly.
We need people to speak
Kellyanne Conway.
Absolutely.
Steve Bannon, Jared Kushner. Let's hook them up to a polygraph. You know what? It's a serious offer. If you're willing, any one of you, hook up to a polygraph. We'll put it on TV. You can have my hour. We'll do one a day. Is Donald Trump fit for the presidency? Is he capable of carrying out the responsibilities? There's a growing and insidious trend in right-wing media, broadcast, print, and social media. It is to take highly misleading and selectively edited videos of President Biden directly from Republican National Committee social media accounts and then use those videos to spread messages virally to cast doubt on President Biden's fitness for office. Cheap fakes, videos of real events that are intentionally manipulated to fool viewers.
Can you imagine the humiliation that she would feel right now if she actually had an honest bone in her body?
Well, fortunately, she'll never have to worry about that. The irony of her claim, they often use this, the highly edited, selected video. Yeah, they're selected to show Joe Biden speaking on the rare occasions that you'd actually cover it. Heavily edited? What are you talking about heavily edited? We just play the videos of him. The irony is her claim really applies to them. And I'm not even saying it applies to the Democrat committees and the Democrat activists. I'm talking about when Kamala Harris sits down for a 60 Minutes interview and the editors have to go in there and chop it up with extreme precision to make it sound like that woman is not babbling nonsense. And by the way, she is supposedly in her right mind. She wasn't even suffering from dementia, as Joe Biden obviously was. So now you're going to see this quasi mea culpa. It's not even really a mea culpa. It's pointing the culpa at the White House and saying, wow, golly, I guess he really was in decline. It reminds me of John McCain after the 2008 presidential election. Shortly afterward, when it became clear that Obama was a complete disaster, John McCain was asked a question by a reporter. Said, there is a survey out that shows that if the election were held today, you would have won, that most people wish that you had won. What's your reaction to that, Senator McCain? And his answer was perfect. He said, I guess my answer is, where were you when I needed you? That's how I feel about the media. Oh, great. You're covering Joe Biden's decline many months now after he's left office, many, many months after the 2024 election. Hey, where were you when I needed you?
Mm-hmm. It's this kind of dishonesty that has completely sunk the corporate media. I mean, it's just completely sunk them. That among many other things, but they're not truth tellers. They're just not truth tellers. They are Democrat soldiers who they're the same in their marching as the North Korean army is when we see them falling all over Kim Jong-un. They have the same loyalty to the Democrat Party and are marching in their own way, right? So now there's an article out today in the New York Times talking about how there's big money over on the left wing going into fund the, quote, the next Joe Rogan. Like the Democrats are serious about this now. They've decided they have to compete in our world, in the digital world, and they've got to find, again, quote, the next Joe Rogan. And it starts with money. They're taking all their money. They have way more money in terms of these dark donors than the Republicans do. They've got to channel it into certain talent to try to create strong voices in the digital lane. And I got strong feelings about whether this is going to work, Michael, but I don't think, and then my top line in tossing it to you is, I don't think it's going to work. Among many other reasons, the Democrats aren't authentic and honest. They are the North Korean soldiers. And anybody who would be backed by one of these dark money groups to launch his or her podcast will necessarily be owned by them and therefore will be ineffective.
It also just can't work because Joe Rogan is a response to them. And Joe is obviously the biggest podcaster in the world, but that's true of all the rest of us too. All the rest of us with pretty sizable platforms. We are a response to them. We exist in this space because they failed. So they say, well, when are the Democrats going to get our Joe Rogan? You have him. He's called NBC News or any of the other news networks or CNN or the New York Times or the Washington Post. You have it. You cannot complain if you're a Democrat that you have lack of exposure in the media, okay? We have a handful of people continually suppressed by social media platforms, and the reason that we are eating these people's lunch is because they lied. So when CNN complains that their ratings are down after the 2024 election, don't blame me, and don't blame you, Megyn, and don't blame Joe Rogan. We're not the people watching CNN. I watch more CNN when I'm on your show because we're reacting to clips of these people saying crazy things than I ever would on my own TV. But we're not the people who tuned out CNN. We tuned out CNN many, many, many years ago. The people who tuned out CNN and MSNBC and all the rest of these networks after the election were the liberal viewers who felt jilted and lied to because they were lied to, and then they look for alternatives. And now what? You're going to try to be the alternative to the alternative? I don't think it's going to work.
It's not going to work. That's so true. And by the way, I've heard you, and I certainly on this show too, have been very critical of Republican leadership, depending on what they're doing. The right
Certainly
doesn't tend to have those same rules as the left does. The right is constantly infighting over who's the right candidate, what's the right approach, which side of the MAGA wing should win, what's the approach on foreign policy. They're not pro-censorship and the duck march that we see with these weirdos on the left. It's just not the way, it's not in the right-wing bloodstream. So I just don't think it's going to work. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.